Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai with the total Fall of the Samurai mod. I'm actually kind of disappointed in you guys, because in last video I said that there was no more factions to show you, but we had forgot the USA, America, and given the fact that about half my subscribers are American, this is, I would say, quite interesting enough that you would go ahead and just forget about this. Anyways, let's go quickly take a look at their factions. Now, the Americans are very similar to the Dutch in that most units actually look the same with just slight alterations. It's not like the Prussians and the French and so forth where you have big varieties in the uniform. Most of the Americans kind of look like the guy right here, like this, with that hat and sort of this style of uniform. We'll take a quick look at the American army, and then we're gonna face off with the British. I had a number of ideas who I would face the Americans, or who the Americans would face. My original idea is actually that the Americans would face the Koreans, but I put the Dutch up to that instead. So anyways, there's the general. Behind here we've got the guard unit, the Montgomery Guards, so we can see them, and this is basically how the American units look like, most of them. So let's go ahead and see. I think these guys in white pants are the Marines. Yes, there we go. The Marines. So something forward, and then there's a sailor, I guess 2 sailors, or a firefighter that almost looks like. Bit weird, but here's the Marine unit. Everyone loves the Marines. I think you can actually see the Marine symbol on the hat now when I notice it. Look at that. I think most people, or at least Americans, recognize that. Then we have the normal line infantry. And they look like this. And they also have a little bit of a symbol on their hat. Right there. And then the light infantry is split in between the yellow ones, which are engineers. Oh, they've got a big axe. I didn't realize, I didn't see that before. I haven't seen this detail before. For some reason I didn't look close enough. First I thought, oh, it's a baton, or if you look it from this way, it's like, whoa, what's going on here with the Americans? And then, oh, there's more engineers. In the forest, however, here is where the rifles hang out. So we've got the rifles. And there's the musket. Right. So this map is the Spring Mills, or Mills Spring. I don't know. It's an American Civil War map. It's a pretty small one. The British start right over here, and yeah, we're gonna fight over this kind of ridge, which I guess they did during the Civil War battle. So we'll see. I've boosted the British just to make sure that we get a pretty good and straight fight. So this will be interesting to see. So let's go ahead and start this, shall we?
To attack, sir.
I'm gonna have the rifles move towards this side, and then I'm gonna have the engineers move to this side, line infantry to the center with the Marines. Then I will have probably the Marines split off to either side, and the Montgomery Guards to be in the back as reserves. General back there as well. Who have I forgot to move? No, everyone's moving. No! The 6-pounder field artillery is not moving, so I want one on either side with very devastating canister. So there's a lot of British. I put a lot of British troops, line infantry, grenadier guards, Royal Marines, foot infantry, and so forth. We've already been able to blast some of the cannons. I think I gave them about 5 howitzers. So they've got 3 on this side, and they got 2 on this side. When those things start blasting, you don't want to be close. Gonna boost these guys, and we're gonna use General's ability here in the start to boost these guys even further, just to get that edge on the enemy artillery, hopefully blast them to shit. Boom, nice. So we're reducing their advantage. At the same time, the rifles coming into range. We want to protect this forested bit, and then we've got a slope of mountain that they can't flank us on. So I want the rifles in the forest here to hold off the enemy. Then I want one rifles up here to be in front. We've got the cannon here. So the ridge here, you can actually place infantry facing either side. You should be. This one's there we go. So probably lock the line infantry in there. The thing is, though, I don't think it actually does anything in terms of actually protecting the units. Oftentimes, when you have places like this, there's a little bit of a protection for the unit. The engineers not in a good position, so we want to move them up, because you can see there's a sort of ridge going through here, which is not that easy to see, but there's a height that sort of goes like this through the forest. So we want to hold up here, so we got good view forwards. And then if they try to flank, I can put a few units down here. I've put it so that I am actually the one to attack. So I'm probably going to send forward a rifle just to provoke them to attack me. And once that happens, the battle will start. Let's see, we've got the line infantry. Unlike in the other battles, like with Russia and the others, where you use the bigger lines, when facing the British they do twos. I imagine the Americans also do just 2 line deep, compared to, say, the Russians, where I usually use like at least 3 or 4. So we're gonna send 2-3 Marines off to hold this side. We're gonna have 1 in reserve behind the rifles, 2 here to fire into what should be open ground, or, well, open in the terms that is not a hill standing in the way, firing, blocking the fire. Then the other 2 Marines are gonna back up the rifles on this side. And then we have the Montgomery Guards, which are currently being coming under fire by the British artillery. So we want to spread those guys out before they take too much damage. General can hide behind the ridge, which is good. And my artillery should be blasting these guys. I wonder if shrapnel shot... Oh, no, shrapnel shot was not good. That does not reach. Oh, my rifles. I've opened fire on the British Grenadier Guards, which have moved within range of our troops. I might have... Maybe I should have put the British to be attacking, because right now they're not very active, are they? I've put them to be as aggressive as I did with the French. So hopefully they should be more aggressive soon enough. So if you guys could just fire off your guns and get the superior range back, that would be nice. Alright, it's done. Fire at will, or not really fire at will. I want you to blast the enemy howitzer. So even though we have blasted these 3, there's still these 2 in the forest here. For some reason they're not firing at us, and they're just sitting there in the forest. The rifles having a field day here, firing at the British. We're gonna go ahead and move this cannon. This cannon's a really nice position. The thing which I really want these 6-pounders up here is really to use the canister shot to be able to blast the British. Let's see, because you can go ahead and fire these on your own. Thing is though, the cannon shot is rather quick, so I want to see the cannon shot striking. Boom! And have to aim a little bit higher, so that's why I'm going into slow-mo here. And we actually we passed through some British troops. And then boom, it reloads really quick. And then passing through another few there. And then boom, passing through these guys, I think. It's gonna be really cool once the enemy gets close enough for me to use canister. So we were able to cut through the British over here. I took 3 guys here, and we took some more over here, and then through the forest here. We cut through quite a few of them. So right now the British... Oh, they are actually returning fire on towards my rifles. Get the cannon out there. So it's the foot infantry, British rifles, and we've got some Grenadier Guards and Royal Marines moving in to attack here. Funnily enough, the enemy is not deploying into skirmish formation, especially the British rifles. I thought they would go ahead and deploy into skirmish formation at this point. Over there! Dun, da, da, dun, da, da. I have someone commenting on all the videos with a World War I German sort of, what's it called, avatar, doing World War I references. Even though it was a very long time since I did any kind of World War I video. Can you get that gun in position? Oh, the rifles are getting absolutely destroyed, but I want to hold off pulling them back until the line is ready, especially this cannon. I want this cannon to be ready. I want the howitzers to focus in on this one, since this one's retreating. Okay, the rifles here, they're about to give way. The British, since they are able to lay so much more fire, they're destroying the unit. So let's have them retreating. Fall back. And looks like the British are being drawn into an attack towards our lines, which is rather nice. Something that isn't nice, however, is that I just got a claim on a piece of music for one of my Empire videos, or Empire campaign videos, where the problem isn't so much that I got a claim on a music piece, because that happens through and forth quite often. The problem was what kind of piece it was, and it was actually a Total War piece. So it was a piece that is in a Total War game. It's I think it's the Fleet Ready or something. I can't remember it's for Napoleon or for Empire. And so it was like, actually it wasn't a wrongful claim or anything, but it was a claim for a piece that's like part of the game. So even if I didn't use my own sort of playlist or whatever, that would claim it, and that would mean that could possibly mean that every single video I'm using Empire music in would possibly come under possibly be claimed by these claimants. So we've got British attacking over here, which is going to be nice because I'm going to switch to canister, go into the cannon. Oh yes, slow-mo, because we want to have time to see this. The British are not going to stand a chance against this. Fire! Ah, shit, too high. Ah, too high again. But, I mean, let's see, I'm gonna aim for the highest then. Boom, there we go. This just goes straight through the British line here. So this foot infantry that decided to charge towards my foot just got absolutely wiped out. But the thing is, with the music being claimed, that might not be such a big problem, because we have, of course, Article 13, which, I mean, if YouTube said if that comes to pass, they might even just go ahead and just block YouTube over all of... Oh, there goes the enemy general. Rides into the middle there and gets killed. They just said, oh, then we might just block everything. And they seemingly have done something similar, since YouTube is owned by Google. They've done something similar, where there's no one attacking here. Rifles will spread out in the forest with the Royal Marines, the American Marines following up. The engineers about to get attacked. What was I talking about? Yes, something similar has already happened with, I believe, in Spain, where they already have a similar law to Article 13, or I think it's Article 11, the link tax, where Google basically removed the news sort of, what's it called, sub feed or whatever, where you can search for news articles, because for some reason by Article 11, if they really want YouTube, or no, not YouTube, Google to pay for linking articles, which seems rather silly. Like if someone comes up to the street and asks me, oh, where's the local bakery? And I go, oh, you know, the local bakery, it's just around, go there, around the corner, and there's the local bakery. And for, you know, me telling them where the bakery is, for some reason I should pay the bakery then, which seems rather odd. It would just end up with what actually happened with YouTube, or not YouTube, with Google, that they basically stopped telling them where the article is, and that reduced traffic to the article by, I think, somewhere around 10 to 20%, which seems, I mean, that tax seems rather stupid. Similar thing with Article 13. So in the easiest way of describing it, basically what they're doing is they're moving the accountability of what's uploaded from the individual user to YouTube itself. So if I upload a copyrighted song, I'm not the one actually liable for it. It would be YouTube. So I'm not entirely sure how YouTube would deal with that. Either one thing would be, what probably would be, is they would have to vet everyone. Maybe I don't really know how they would actually solve that, but they couldn't just let anyone upload just anything anymore. So I mean, maybe you would have to pay to actually be able to upload stuff, and the amount of videos they would have to remove in the EU would be quite a lot. And the thing is as well, they wouldn't just be able to implement a system where they catch all the copyrighted stuff as it's uploaded, because it's I think they upload somewhere around 400 hours every minute of content, and you can't check that. That's impossible. So what they would probably do is limit who is able to actually upload to YouTube, which is, I mean, probably a small-time Total War YouTuber would not be allowed anymore. And especially since you have this sort of cross in whose content I'm using, because as I said earlier with the music piece that just recently got claimed, that is part of I think Emperor Napoleon. So the Creative Assembly, they don't care that I'm uploading footage from their games, but there's a sort of sub-claimant to music within the game. With other stuff, the example that YouTube takes up of this, I think is actually Despacito, and they sort of show how there's so many claimants in the song to different areas that it basically becomes impossible for them to host it on their site. But I think there's if you're not conspiratorial and you think that EU is doing this because they want to censor the internet, which they probably are because they probably don't like it that much. But I can see a certain point into it, just because Google and, in extension then, YouTube isn't really paying any tax anywhere, as far as I'm aware. So there's probably quite a bit of sort of revenue and stuff that could be. But at the same time, YouTube, I think it was somewhere along, they were paying out 800 million euros each year to content sort of people with sort of the that owned the original content in a sense, and then they paid out 1.5 billion to the music industry. So I don't know if this just, I mean, the thing is, this could just be an add-on to the sort of conspiracy or what happened with the last time we had sort of a big thing with the exodus of a lot of advertisers. So just another attack by old media and the music industry to really just get back to the good old days of the 90s where they could snort coke off a whore's ass and not care. Anyways, right. The British were defeated. I was hoping the British would make more of an effort here. They didn't really, even though I set it to very high. But I think is one of those maybe Total War bugs where you have to reset it to the highest difficulty every time, because it kind of resets on its own. I know it does that with the money. So even if you have set it to Ultra, it actually resets each time back to the normal amount of money. So you have to reset it to Ultra, even if it's set to Ultra, if you kind of understand what I mean. So I think that's what has happened. Even though I've set it to the AI difficulty to be very hard, it actually reset, but without actually resetting the button. So for me, it still says very hard, but in actual fact, it has reset to normal. Anyways, we've got the Americans. They've cut down the British. Hopefully, we'll get a new update soon that introduces cavalry, and that will open up for me to recreate battles and stuff, which would be nice, because there's a lot of people that have been asking for... Actually, a lot of people haven't been asking for the Crimean War battle series, but a lot of people have been asking for the Russo-Japanese War, which I have really wanted to create, but the problem is all the Fall of the Samurai factions have been turned into Prussia, Russia, sort of France and UK and stuff, so there is no, and the only two there are the Satcho Alliance and the Northern Alliance, and they have the same units as the Koreans have, if you remember my Korean video. So the only thing they have are those guys with kind of straw hats to be the Imperial units. So you can't, so I cannot unfortunately recreate that. And what else is there? I mean, I should probably take this up in my campaign for my Australian campaign, but it seems like I trolled you guys a bit with the title, got a lot of comments due to that. Hopefully drives traffic to my video, because I got lots of comments calling it Australia or Australia-Hungary. But now everyone's sort of, I got a lot of comments like, why aren't you running? And like, how many times do I have to explain that that's not how the Total War 3 mod works, that it is slow and you're supposed to walk, you're not supposed to run everywhere. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just people who don't understand that, or if if you guys actually are trolling me back due to me trolling you with a title. Anyways, you know what? we haven't seen. I don't think I've shown you the statistics of how many troops died and so forth. And a lot of people usually like that. So, also someone actually wanted me to, as this picture portrays, I believe this is the Danish war with the Prussians, and someone wanted to do that. Someone wanted me to show that, which would be an interesting video to do, battle series and stuff. But who in the hell thinks that he's going to mod in Denmark in this Imperial mod, which is set for sort of imperialistic powers to colonize Japan? Who the hell thinks they're gonna put in Denmark? Which I thought kind of funny. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the casualties and who did the most damage. I'm hoping that the canister did a lot, because that is really cool and definitely something you should check out. And I love the fact that Shogun 2 allows you to take on manual control of the artillery and sort of just cut down troops. The problem is only that you have to go into slow-mo, otherwise it just goes so fast you barely see it. Let's go ahead and end battle, take a look at that statistic. And so here we are looking at the statistics of this battle. I'm going to go ahead and like the map. So I deployed 3,500 men, while Britain deployed 4,600, so 1,000 more men. I only lost 720, while the British lost 2,325. We see that there were 4 friendly casualties there. Kills, we can see that it's actually foot infantry, which did the most. We've got 1 rifle there, which I think was probably the rifle that was situated up in front. Then we got the engineers, and then we've got that 6-pounder. So this is probably the 6-pounder which I used to fire canister, because he got even more than the howitzers, which got roughly the same. Engineers and marines didn't do that much because, well, they ended up on the wrong side of the map, and the Montgomery Guard, I never even used those guys. On the enemy side, we can see the Black Watch was able to actually take down 122 while only suffering 40 casualties. And then we have the British Rifles also. I mean, very measly numbers come after this, and at some points there are a few units that don't get a single kill while losing quite a lot of men. And then their artillery then got absolutely wiped out. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that the battle strength was not set to. I can actually go back and show you. So this, oh yeah, look at that, battle difficulty normal. So what happens is you set it to very hard, and then it remembers very hard, and it keeps it very hard. So when you start up the game again, it will say very hard, but it's actually, in actual fact, it actually have reset to normal. You mostly notice this with the money, where it's set to medium. So when you come back after have to turn down the game and then set it up again, or restart the game, you come in, you see, oh, it says ultra funds, but then it says 4,000 minus there, and you kind of go, but it's set to ultra, and then you sort of set it to ultra again, and then it fixes itself. And also I want to show you the factions then, really quickly, so you can see that all Imperial factions are gone, and you just got the old ones of Hojo, Weseki and so forth, and then the Minamotos of the really old ones. Now I haven't shown you the Chinese. The Chinese are in here, but the Chinese for some reason has American troops. And the thing is, with the Koreans, these are the kinds of troops the Koreans have. And if you go on to the Satchel Alliance, which is the Imperials, they have exactly the same units, so you can't really do. And then the Northern Alliance, so you can't unfortunately do a Russo-Japanese war, unless you do, I guess, maybe naval battle? Where I wonder if he's done anything to this. Seemingly not, actually. He's done quite a bit on the on the Imperial side for the British and so forth, but really nothing really for the others. And there we have it. Hopefully at some point I'll actually be able to show you Chinese troops, and hopefully at some point he will improve this to have sort of the traditional sort of not the traditional, but the traditional imperialist troops for this faction, which would enable me to do Russo-Japanese War, which would be really cool. With that said, I believe this would be the last video unless there's an update with cavalry. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!